quality mark, so you can relax and enjoy it more.
This is the rack, so it's been trimmed. I've scored the fat a little bit, touch of salt, and now I'm just going to get it onto a moderately hot pan. Just a touch of oil, vegetable or sunflower. So you want to hear the fat sizzle. I just add a little bit of garlic. Also just a touch of savoury. It's organic savoury, which is almost like a cross between marjoram, thyme, rosemary.
And more salt.
So we just render the fat a little bit. Keep an eye on the temperature and make sure it's not too hot. I don't want to burn the fat. I just want to slowly break it down a little bit. So we'll just keep an eye on this rack here and we move on to the shoulder. So we boned out the shoulder, salted it, marinated it, and then we just wrap in tin foil and bake in the oven at 100 degrees, then take it out and just refrigerate it so it sets up nicely.
And how long would you cook that for?
We allow it to cook for about 10 hours and then we leave it cool down basically in its own juice for another 2 hours. So here's a slice of the shoulder. I trim the shoulder up a touch, but I make sure to leave a bit of fat in there.
Moisture.
Exactly.
Yeah, brilliant.
So this we will get into the oven. Add a touch of sauce. It can poach away in the oven.
So it's just a way of reheating it, really, isn't it?
Exactly. That's all I'm doing. I want to bring it back to the state that it came out of the oven. Ideally, you can get this into an oven at 80 degrees, 85 degrees. Just keep it covered and allow it to gently poach away until it breaks down.
Okay.
We'll just pop that in there. Now take a look at the rack. That's taking on a bit of colour. Some people don't like the smell of aged lamb. They find it a bit aggressive. You can see this is very subtle lamb smell. It's not that, yeah, exactly. And that's what people are usually surprised about when they have lamb here, the delicacy of it, the subtleness. So I'm serving this with a puree of white beans, they're cocoa beans, and I'm also serving a ragu of white bean. So for the ragu of bean, sweat a diced shallot and a touch of butter. This is just to build a bit of flavour into the ragu. Add a touch of roasted garlic.
So how do you roast that in the skin?
Exactly, just wrap in tin foil. Always thank you. Always a touch of salt anytime I'm sweating. So that roasted garlic just wrapped in tin foil into the oven for 20 minutes and then just burst out the flesh. Let's just deglaze with a touch of white wine, like a teaspoon of white wine. Boil that down and then we'll add a couple of tablespoons of whey. This is reduced whey. It's a byproduct of cheese making and I use it as a finisher in lots of my sauces. Acidic and slightly salty, great flavour enhancer. And to that we'll add our white beans. These are French cocoa beans. These have been soaked in water and then just simmer gently in lamb stock.
So they're already cooked, you're just heating them up?
Exactly.
Yes, okay.
Let's look at the lamb. It's looking quite nice. I'm happy to go now. The fat is beautiful. It's been seared all over. I'm going to turn it back on the fat, add a touch of butter and get it into the oven for 2 minutes. Leave it on the pan, 2 minutes. 180. I'll turn it after 1 minute. Back onto the flesh side. While that's in, some chopped up shank, slow braised lamb shank, allowed to cool, and then some of the heart been brined in pink salt, some spices, water, and then just slow cooked, slow braised.
You've used every part of the animal in this dish, really.
Yeah, and I just use the heart here as a seasoning. You get a mild offally flavour coming through the ragu. That's the ragu done. We'll check the seasoning just before serving. Once the lamb comes out, we'll let that rest for about 6 or 7 minutes and then we're ready to plate. Neven, I've made a vinaigrette here. This is a dressing of garlic scapes, green olive, dandelion oil and some fresh herbs. Just a great flavour enhancer.
Fantastic.
Now we're ready to plate up. So I'll start with just a little touch of vinegar, red wine vinegar, and then a bit of aubergine vinegar. That's made with the juice that's left over from burning aubergines. Goat's yogurt from lightly smoked in a bit of charcoal. Let's smear that. Some of our dressing. And then we've got our potatoes cooked in lamb fat, seasoned with a touch of dried caper, organic turnips.
Your detail is incredible.
Baked in a salt dough. We can just give the shoulder a basting.
Looks so good.
And I like to finish with a touch of the dressing.
Dressing on top.
Put that on. So this is a sharing style dish. Our ragu, time to finish that.
Yep.
Just some soft herbs.
Okay.
Just add a touch of lemon.
It smells amazing.
And away we go.
They're amazing beans, aren't they?
Yeah, they're delicious. Comfort food, but just slightly more sophisticated version.
Comfort food.
Add a touch of pureed white bean. And then we will finish with the rack.
And John, you've rested that. You emphasise how important it is.
Yeah, I've just used the oven to barely penetrate the centre of the meat. It's in the oven for 2 minutes max, and then the resting is about 6 to 8 minutes, which is the important part. So, quick seasoning on the inside.
So beautifully cooked and rested.
Yeah, you see there's no juices flowing over the place,
right.
so I know it's going to be tender. Then just a drizzle of our sauce.
Made from your bones.
Yeah, and a touch more of the dandelion oil. It's organic dandelion. Just brings a lovely herbaceousness to the dish. There you go, Neven. If you want to try anything, go for it.
One of the most impressive plates, a couple of plates of food I've ever seen. This is just so good. Just falls apart. Sean, it's been absolutely inspirational.
My pleasure.
Being in your kitchen. Thank you so much.
Thank
Gentlemen.
you.
Having been to the Comeragh Mountains and to Cappoquin to see the Waterford Blaa, I wanted to cook with another PGI status ingredient, and what it is Clare Island salmon. I'm going to show you a lovely gratin with some prawns, spinach, a little bit of chili jam and pesto. It's kind of 2 dishes in one. First one I want to show you is a beautiful pasta called frigola. And we're going to cook this. So this is it here. It's from Sardinia and it's hand-rolled pasta. Adds a lovely texture, puffs up a little bit when it cooks, but we're going to make it interesting with a little bit of saffron and turmeric to give it lovely flavour and colour. Now, if you can't get this, you can use this one here. And this is orzo. And I always have a bag of this at home. It is absolutely gorgeous, so it is. So you can use either, but it's the frigola one I'm going to use for this. Now, the secret into cooking any kind of pasta is to cook it in seasoned water. So a large pot of water, plenty of salt. You put some of the saffron in, a large pinch. This is the Spanish saffron. And of course, turmeric is exceptionally healthy for you. See the way that bubbles up? Don't worry about that. It's just the salt and the turmeric. Now that will give great flavour. So just simply sprinkle it in. So it's made with durum wheat. So I'm going to put the lid on. That will take anything from 8 to 10 minutes to cook. Before we do our gratin, I'm going to show you to quickly wilt some spinach. Baby spinach, we're going to wilt it in a hot pan. So just a little splash of some rapeseed oil. Now, just see the way that's bubbling over? Just put the lid over to the side like that. So a nice deep saucepan, that's really important. When we cook spinach, we always use oil and butter. I'm just going to stir my frigola. So we can just leave the lid off, throw in a big handful of spinach, pinch of sugar, and then just a little touch of some sea salt. So the secret into cooking the spinach is very fast. So that's it wilted, put it onto kitchen paper, and that will absorb any excess water. So now for our salmon. So this is the salmon fillet. It's pin bone, so there's no bones. It's an organic salmon. It's just off the coast of Mayo. If you look at it, it's really, really lean. It must be the currents in the water. The fish is constantly moving. Now we're going to do a gratin. I want to show you the technique. Parchment paper. We're going to drizzle a little bit of rapeseed oil. Place our salmon skin side down. This would be a great lunchtime dish if you're having a dinner party. It's a dish you can make ahead. A spoon for the wilted spinach. Layer this on top of the lovely salmon. Let the spinach cool slightly, and you can even put it on cold. So the Clare Island is one of only 4 food producers in Ireland with the PGI status. The other one is Timoleague, and that is a brown pudding, Connemara Hill lamb, and the Waterford Blaa. So these are my prawns, and they're deveined, obviously out of the shell, and they're raw. Place 3 of them on top. So a gratin will always have some variety of cheese. And this is some Toomsbridge mozzarella. Lovely and creamy, and it works really, really well with the gratin. I'm just going to put 1 slice on top of the prawn. Just with the squeezy bottle, a little bit of chili jam. So this is like a homemade tomato sauce. We have peppers in that, we have garlic. We also have a little bit of vinegar and sugar and some chili. Now pesto. So the pesto is always made with some basil, toasted pine nuts. I use some Irish rapeseed oil and some extra virgin olive oil. Lots of garlic and Parmesan cheese. So sea salt, pepper, and you always season up just before you cook any kind of fish. Parchment paper, it's going to stop it from sticking, into the oven preheated at 180, and that's going to take about 18 to 20 minutes to cook. So when the salmon's in, I can finish the frigola. So you can see the way it's absorbed, and it's kind of plumped up. Now we need to refresh this, and the reason why we refresh it is to stop it from sticking together. Cold water, and then just pass it through the sieve. This pasta is lovely even cold, and you can serve it with sun-dried tomato, roasted peppers, some goat's cheese, feta cheese, that kind of thing. We're going to cream this up here. Small amount of cream in here. Just cover the base of the pot. Into this, a lovely bit of some lemon zest, which gives great freshness to it. So that's the whole idea behind these microplanes, is that you put them on the pot, on the bowl, to help your wrist. So the herbs I'm using is basil and some chives. Just chopped the basil. Now, if you leave the basil just chopped like that, what happens? It goes black and it bruises. So put it straight in. And then some chives. Cut them as fine as you can. You see the way when I'm chopping, I curve my fingers. The knife will never go near the tops of my fingers. And just put that in there. So let's stir it through the herbs. These are some semi-sun-dried tomatoes. The semi ones, they're not fully dried. They're nice and soft. So just chop them, nice big chunks, and again, put them into the fragola, just using your knife. So that's going to give lovely colour. If you look at that, the herbs and the tomatoes. But we're going to put a little bit of smoked Irish salmon. This is from the Burren Smokehouse, and it's all the Clare Island that Brigitte uses when she's smoking salmon. Don't cut it too small, and just turn that off. Lovely smokiness from the salmon, the texture of the sun-dried tomatoes, it's just beautiful on its own. I'm going to have a little look at the salmon. I don't think it's going to be done yet, but when the salmon is ready, we'll serve up. It looks great. This took 18 minutes to just cook through, and I love the way the cheese has got a nice crust on it. We need to just let that sit for a minute. I'm going to put the fragola into a little cutter, just a scone cutter, cookie cutter. Lift it off. Perfect. Then get our salmon, and you can see the way the cheese kind of has melted, and it smells delicious. The chili jam, we're just going to put this just around the plate. And then just to finish it, some lovely fresh herbs. I think this is the lovely recipe that showcases one of Ireland's PGI ingredients. That's the Clare Island salmon with prawns and the saffron fragola.
Always look for food with the bordbia quality mark, so you can relax and enjoy it more.